Hello again, Internet. Welcome back. HemingwayLand.com, your source for quality, affordable land in the state of New Mexico. So we've got two new properties we're going to be discussing in this video. And this video will be posted on both of their respective listing pages. These two properties are not adjacent, but pretty close to one another. So pretty much everything that I tell you here will pertain to both properties equally. They are both in the Tierra Verde subdivision out in Cibola County. Of course, we really like this subdivision. Our buyers like the subdivision because, as you can read from the headline here, it is unrestricted land. And as we will probably write on the video that you're watching, it is no regs, no rules, no HOAs, no dues. You've got land in an area where the county has no zoning ordinance that governs it, number one. Number two, there are no covenants and restrictions with the land. Number three, there is no HOA out there making up new rules every day. And there are no, essentially, HOA dues on the land. There's no, yearly fee to own property out here. The only thing you really have to worry about are the taxes every year, which are really negligible when you look at it. So it's a good property for all of those reasons, and many more, which we'll get into in the video. So, with all that said, these two properties are, respectively, CB&M-0001B and C, Bravo and Charlie. They're both in Cibola County, both in Tierra Verde, both in Unit 4, both 5 acres, and both are priced at $5,900. Let's bring one of these up on a map and talk about this, and then we'll introduce it that way. So, as with all of our properties, come down here, click any one of the GPS coordinates, and up on the Google Maps it shall appear. This image, of course, tells you nothing, so let's go to map view, zoom back, and talk about where this is within the state of New Mexico. You've got Albuquerque up here in the north central part of the state. This property sits roughly about 90 miles west of Albuquerque in Cibola County. If you want to right-click and measure distance, you can see exactly how far you are, but roughly about 90 miles, 90 minutes west. Of course, most of that drive is going to be along the I-40, so that drive is going to be probably 75, 80 miles an hour. So maybe you could do it in a little over an hour, hour and 15, something like that. But the point is, that is your location, roughly about 90 miles west of Albuquerque, out here in Cibola County. Cibola County, which, of course, borders Arizona to its west. Cibola, of course, is one of these rural counties, probably more wildlife out here than people. That being said, if you love the outdoors, if you're looking for a good outdoor property, this is certainly one of them. Within easy driving distance of this property, you have a couple things that are worth pointing out. Number one, you've got a lot of national parks, things like Malpais National Monument, Conservation Area, Chain of Craters Wilderness Study Area, El Chaco Canyon is not too far from here. You've got, should be noted, this giant green splotch of land, or roughly 300,000 acres of Cibola National Forest. Great, area to go hunting, camping, etc. And for those of you who don't like hunting so much as you like fishing, we've got the Rama Reservoir out here, as well as Blue Water Lake State Park, which is just due north of the property up here. So, point being, there's a lot to do, a lot to explore out in this region. I also forgot to mention the volcanoes, whereas the ice caves and the Bandera volcano that's out here, as well as the El Morro National Monument. The number of sights to see in this county, I think outnumber the people as well. But the point is, there's a lot to do, there's a lot to see as far as nature is concerned, as far as just, great things to take advantage of that way. Number one. Number two, as far as points of interest, nearby towns, things like that, the nearby town of Rama is going to be where you're going for probably some minor grocery and supply runs. This one's about 20 minutes from the land itself, 20 minutes to get out there. But then you've got Grants over here. Grants is really the population center of Cibola County, the county seat of Cibola County. So it's out here in Grants where you're going to find things like big box stores like the Walmart Supercenter over here. Of course, you've also got things like the Grants Milan Municipal Airport. The local hospital is out there, etc., as well as probably just most any fast food restaurant that you can think of would be in this area. Here's a Domino's, here's a Sonic, so on and so forth. Point being, this is the more densely concentrated population center, and probably where you're going to go for more of those grocery and supply runs. Gallup is not too far away up here in this region and up in McKinley County. And of course, I think the only thing Gallup has that Grants doesn't is a Home Depot. I think there's a Home Depot up there that you're not going to find out here in Grants. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so the property itself sits within the Tierra Verde subdivision. Tierra Verde is a very large, roughly 4,500 acre subdivision. It's pretty much all that I am circling on this map right here. This is Tierra Verde, so it's a very large subdivision. And if we zoom in, if we go to satellite view and we zoom in here on the property, a couple things you should know about this subdivision. Number one, pretty much very few of the roads out here actually have names. So I'm going to tell you this one is, it's the B property, the Bravo property, is actually a corner lot. It has road access along two sides. This is one. This is Camino de Agua Vida. This is one of the main roads within the Tierra Verde subdivision. The other road that this has access off of would be a, I'm thinking east-west road. Yes, there we go. An east-west road, which you can't really see laid out here on the map, but I promise it exists in real life. Point being, easements along both sides of the property. From map view here, you can see that it looks like the property does not have much vegetation on it. That being said, if you go to our photo gallery down here, as with all of our properties, we get photos taken from the land itself, and out here you can see a little more vegetation than what is suggested on the Google satellite view. It should also be noted that when you look at this property, you will see some property boundary markers out here. As noted, the lot is within Unit 4. Unit 4 supposedly has property boundary markers staked out on all their lots. I can't believe that's actually true. I can't believe that remains the case all these years later. The land was first surveyed in, I believe, the 70s. That being said, this property at least has one boundary marker on it. As with all the lots we sell here at Hemingway Land, we don't guarantee that you're going to find that when you go out there, though I think it's more likely with this than with others. But the long story short is that we do not get these lots surveyed. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so off here in the distance, you can see a little bit of the Cibola National Forest off here in the distance, but not much. The vegetation here is minimal, though not as much as is suggested in the Google satellite view. That being said, the land is notable because you've got some nice flat land out here, easy to build on, easy to park on, whether that's an RV, whether that's a mobile home that you're going to put a permanent foundation on, or just, you know, live out of without that. It's not the type of land where you have to come out and do a whole lot of landscaping or excavation or tree removal to actually set up some sort of campsite or something. Even if you just want to build a hunting cabin out here, some sort of, you know, staging area where, you know, everybody starts their day and then goes out hunting in different parts of the county, comes back, meets up at the end of the night. You want to build a hunting cabin out here, something like that. It's going to be easier to do on land that is like this. Anyway, I will let you guys go through the photos on your own time. Additionally, we'll have a drone video up here at the bottom of the gallery. This drone video, of course, will give you an excellent idea of the property, the terrain, the surroundings in the region. But I will let you explore this on your own time. One thing you may have noticed was missing from the photos is any sort of nearby power. Power is not ubiquitous out here. It's actually only in a few locations within the subdivision. Now, if I pull back here and I kind of show you, the nearest power in this area is actually from this property. There's a power line running through this way. Utilities running this way. And actually, if we zoom in here, you can kind of see here's one of them, here's another, so on and so forth. Point being, there are power lines running immediately north of this property. They run sort of northwest, southeast like this, but they are roughly, let's right click and measure distance, roughly about 2,000 feet north of the subject property. So the local power company, the local utility that services this region, is Continental Divide Electric Cooperative. If you want to reach out to them, click on this link right here. It'll take you to their website up here, in which you can contact them and sort of talk about, hey, I'm looking to buy some property in this region. You guys have got power lines about 2,000 feet north of me. How expensive is it to get, you know, a power pole extended out to my property? That being said, you know, with properties like this, we always encourage our buyers. Solar is probably the most logical, most affordable alternative way to bring power to the lot. You know, it should also be noted, we're talking about how this is a rural subdivision. There's not a lot of people living out here. I do, however, want to point out to you that aside from, you know, this homestead that we're pointed out here, and who knows if that one's occupied or not, as well as this one right here, this one looks like it's probably occupied. You also have some surprisingly kind of nice homesteads out here. This one is not too far west of the property, and this one obviously has power poles out there servicing the region. Right here is one of them that I can see. Here's another. But there are also some nice homes over here as well. Point being, it's not, you know, it's not as undeveloped as you might think. I mean, it's still pretty rural, but there are people living out there. There are people who have made some, you know, some nice existence for themselves, and perhaps you can be one of those people as well. Now, a couple things I just want to point out to you here on the listing page. If you want to do some research on Tierra Verde, if you want to learn more about this area than what I'm discussing here in the video, we have the Tierra Verde Ranchettes page. This is a website that has really everything about this subdivision. It doesn't get updated a hell of a lot, but here you will be able to find some good information. The Tierra Verde FAQ is one of these pieces of information, and here is where they talk about question and answer. Are there survey pins in place? out here. What does it say? Unit 4 has metal tags, and they are still identifiable. 5, 6, and 7 are rebar survey pins without tags. The thing is with those surveys, as I mentioned earlier, they were done decades ago. So, some of those I'm sure are not still there. Some of those, if they are there, you have to look pretty hard to find them. I don't know that they'll all be as obvious as a, giant metal post sticking out of the property, but you never know. Sometimes you luck out. Anyway, additionally, on this listing page, we also have links to the Tierra Verde Ranchettes Facebook page. This is actually a really good resource if you want to reach out to people and talk to people about their experience living out there, building out there, things that you might need to know. This page obviously does not get updated a lot. Last time it was updated was Christmas of 2012. That being said, we've extended some questions out there to people, and we've gotten responses, both a large volume of responses, and we've gotten them fast. So if you do have questions about the area, this may also be a good resource for you. Finally, I'd just like to point out to our buyers that, because we always get these questions about wells, if you are going to drill a well on this property or any property in New Mexico, you're going to want to speak to the Office of the State Engineer. We have their website helpfully linked right here. Of course, it will take you to their website where you can do some research on, first of all, these are just the people that you talk to about water rights in general, water rights and getting a permit to drill a well. If you have questions about water table depth, about what is the cost of getting a well drilled, those questions are ultimately best addressed to people who actually do that sort of job in the county. So you call any well driller within Cibola County and say, hey, I'm looking to buy some land in Tierra Verde. Can you give me a sense of, water table depth and what it generally costs to install one of these things? They are always the best people to talk to. But the Office of the State Engineer are the people who you want to talk to about ultimately getting those permits to do that, getting the water rights for land to do that sort of thing. So, with all that said, I just want to close by saying, finally, that what I had mentioned at the outset here, which is that it's all unrestricted land, that's ultimately the big selling point. Cibola County is one of these counties where they defer to subdivisions as far as their zoning ordinance goes. So they don't, they don't really have any rules about these things. They defer to the subs. And this subdivision doesn't have covenants and restrictions in place. When it was first subdivided, they did, and then they were actually set to sunset in the 90s. And the landowners in the region had a vote whether to maintain the covenants that were in place or to let them expire. And there are 7 units out there. 6 of those units, including this property in Unit 4, all voted to let the covenants expire. Unit 1 was the only one that wanted to keep the covenants in place. So point being, as mentioned earlier, if your plans are, the kind of things that you can't do in other parts of New Mexico, such as earthship home or tiny home, shipping container home, things like that, these are things that you will be able to do in this region. You don't have anyone policing you. You don't have anyone doling out ticky-tack fines for, doing things that aren't, how they deem appropriate. So these are some of the benefits of the land. And as I mentioned earlier, no HOA, no dues. The only thing you're going to have to pay each year are the annual taxes, and that's, roughly $75 for a 5-acre piece of land, which is, not too bad. Anyway, with all that said, if this is a property that you're interested in purchasing, you should know that we closed on this with Quest Title in Cibola County. So we got title insurance on this, which means we will be providing a warranty deed to our buyers. So just come up here, click the Buy Now button, and we'll take you to a secure checkout page on either one of these listing pages. We're going to ask you a couple questions: legal name for deed, tax address, where's the county going to send annual tax statements, and once you agree to the terms of service, click Next. On the next page, you will enter credit or debit card information. And once you do that, the property is yours to do with as you please. As with all the properties listed here on HemingwayLand.com, we are the owners of the land, so once you give us money, as far as we are concerned, you are now the owner. Practically speaking, it takes a couple weeks for the county to get on the same page as Hemingway Land. The way that process works is within 24 hours, if you've given us money, we're going to send you back a deed by email. Once you approve it, we're going to autograph it, notarize it, mail it off to the county to be recorded. County will record, and they will forward it on to you. So from start to finish, this is about 3 weeks before you have before you have that deed in your hand, that recorded deed in your hand. That being said, as noted, once you give us money, the property is yours to do with as you please. Please go out there, begin, having fun, knock yourself out, begin building, begin camping, whatever. Anyway, with all that said, if you guys have any follow-up questions, please give us a call, 702-919-7170. Leave a comment here on YouTube, or shoot us an email at support@hemingwayland.com. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you in the next video.